73%. That's the share of all retail transactions in India that now happen through UPI. Not cash, not card, UPI. And in cities like Bangalore, Mumbai, and Pune, for salaried professionals between 25 and 35, that number is closer to 90. So here's the question nobody is actually asking. When 90% of your spending happens with a tap and zero friction, what actually changes? Not in theory. In a real person's bank account, at the end of a real month. Hi, I'm Vivan. On this channel, I observe one thing, how salaried Indians in metro cities actually experience money in 2026. Not tips, not advice, just careful observation of real patterns. Last month I looked at something specific. Two people, same salary, same city, same apps on their phones. One tracked every UPI payment consciously for 30 days. One didn't change a thing. The difference at the end of the month was not what either of them expected. If that kind of experiment interests you, subscribe. We post twice a day. Now let me show you exactly what happened. Meet Priya and Ananya, both 29. Both work in IT in Bangalore's Koramangala belt. Different companies, similar roles, similar packages. Both earn around 22 lakhs a year, after tax. Roughly 1,40,000 rupees hits their accounts each month. They've known each other since college. They live 10 minutes apart. They share a lot of the same habits. Both order food through their phones 3 or 4 times a week. Both take app cabs to work on the days they're too tired for the metro. Both have a gym membership they use, sometimes. Both have subscriptions they've forgotten the renewal dates of. In September last year, they made a small agreement. Not a budget, not a spending freeze, just this. Priya would spend exactly as she always did, no changes. Ananya would do one thing differently. Before every UPI payment, she would wait 5 seconds, look at the amount, and say it out loud quietly to herself. Just the number, nothing else. No judgment, no guilt, no rule about whether to proceed. Just 5 seconds of saying the number before tapping pay. That's it, that's the entire experiment. They agreed to compare notes at the end of 30 days. Neither of them thought it would show much. They were both wrong. In week 1, nothing dramatic happened for either of them. Priya's week looked like any other. Monday morning, she ordered breakfast because she woke up late. 180 rupees. Auto to the office because it was raining. 110 rupees. Lunch upgrade because the canteen queue was long. 260 rupees. Evening chai with a colleague outside the office. 80 rupees. None of it felt like anything. None of it registered. By Friday, she had made 31 UPI transactions. She could recall maybe 6. Ananya's week looked almost identical in the transactions. But something subtle was different. Monday morning breakfast order. Before tapping, she said the number quietly. 180. Tapped. Done. Auto in the rain. 110. Said it. Tapped. The chai stop. 80. She paused for 5 seconds. Said it. And then she didn't tap. Not because 80 rupees is significant. She earns 22 lakhs. But in that 5 seconds, her brain had connected, I just had a full coffee in the office 20 minutes ago. I don't actually want this. I'm here because everyone else is going. She said goodbye and went back upstairs. 80 rupees saved, not because of discipline, because of 5 seconds. By Friday, Ananya had made 26 UPI transactions. She had paused and not proceeded on 4 of them. She could recall 20 of the 26. The gap was already forming, but neither of them knew it yet. Week 2 is when things got interesting. Priya started noticing something that she hadn't tracked before. Not her big expenses, her invisible category. Every salaried person in a metro city has one. It's not food, not transport, not entertainment. It's the category that has no name. The 2 rupee convenience that rounds up to 476 rupees by the end of the week. For Priya, it looked like this. The quick commerce order because she needed one item and it was easier than going to the store. 340 rupees minimum order. She needed toothpaste. The premium cab because she was 5 minutes late and the cheaper option had a longer wait. Added 160 rupees to her usual fare. The paid parking at the mall because the free section was full and she didn't want to walk. 60 rupees. The water bottle at the airport kiosk because she forgot her bottle at home. 80 rupees. Individually, none of these are stupid decisions. Each one made complete sense in the moment. In week 2 alone, Priya's invisible category cost her 2,140 rupees. Ananya's invisible category was 890 rupees. Same week, same city, same kinds of decisions. The difference was not willpower. Ananya had simply been in the room when the decisions were made. Her brain had registered them. And in some of those 5-second windows, it had said actually no. Here's what researchers studying payment behavior have found. When you pay cash, your brain experiences something called the pain of paying. It's not dramatic, but it's real, a small measurable discomfort at the moment of exchange. That discomfort acts as a natural brake. UPI doesn't trigger this response in the same way. The transaction is so fast, so frictionless, so disconnected from physical money that the pain of paying essentially disappears. And here's the part that matters most. When the pain of paying disappears, so does the memory of paying. Priya, at the end of week 2, sat down and tried to recall her transactions from Monday. She could name 4. There were 19. 15 payments had happened to her, not with her. Ananya could name 16 out of 22. Not because Ananya has a better memory, because 5 seconds of attention had created a record in her brain. The transaction and the amount had been filed together as one thing, not 2 separate events that her brain processed in different folders. And here's what that difference does over time. When Priya thought about where her money went, she genuinely didn't know. So she reached the only conclusion available to a brain with no data: I probably just need to earn more. When Ananya thought about where her money went, she actually had data, not from a spreadsheet, from memory. And that data loop started quietly changing what felt worth it. Now here's the layer of this experiment that surprised both of them. Week 3, Priya's friends planned a Saturday brunch, a place in Indiranagar. Decent, but not cheap. The kind of meal that ends up at around 1,800 to 2,000 rupees per person after food, drinks and the service charge that appears at the end. Priya went. Of course she went. It's Saturday. These are her people. She enjoyed it. She tapped pay. 1,940 rupees. She didn't think about it again. Ananya also went. Before tapping pay, she said the number quietly. 1,940. She tapped pay too. And here's the important thing. This is not a story about Ananya refusing to spend money on friends. But in those 5 seconds, something else happened. She had a fleeting thought. I've spent 6,200 rupees this week already, including this. I know exactly where it went. I feel okay about this. She felt something Priya didn't feel in that moment. Not guilt, the opposite of guilt. Clarity. She had chosen this. Consciously. She knew the cost in context, and it felt different from paying for things that happened to her. Priya, by week 3, had a low-level anxiety she couldn't explain. Her account balance looked lower than she expected. She wasn't sure why. She felt vaguely like she'd been careless, but couldn't point to a single careless thing. That feeling is extremely common among metro salaried professionals in 2026. The money left. But the story of why it left is missing. End of the experiment. Both Priya and Ananya sat down and looked at their full month. Priya's total discretionary spending, everything outside fixed rent, EMI and utilities, came to 41,280 rupees. Ananya's came to 32,650 rupees. The gap was 8,630 rupees. In 1 month, Ananya hadn't done anything radical. She hadn't stopped going out. She hadn't stopped ordering food. She hadn't started cooking every meal or tracking every category. She had just paused for 5 seconds before each payment. That's it. 8,630 rupees. That's 1,03,560 rupees a year, on the same salary, in the same city, living what looks from the outside like exactly the same life. Now here's the part that Priya found most uncomfortable. She didn't feel like she'd enjoyed her month more. She didn't feel like those extra 8,000 rupees had bought her something meaningful. She just hadn't noticed them leaving. So what does this experiment actually show? It's not that UPI is a problem. UPI is extraordinary. What it did for financial access in India, for small vendors, for rural payments, for eliminating cash friction, that's genuinely remarkable. But there's a specific thing that happens when a payment system becomes this fast, this invisible, this embedded in every 2 minutes of your day. The gap between earning and spending narrows, not because you want more, because the pause between wanting and having disappears. And in that pause is where your financial instincts used to live. Priya and Ananya didn't have different salaries. They didn't have different values. They didn't have different goals. They had different gaps between impulse and action. 5 seconds, that's the entire difference. And the strange things about Ananya's experiment is that she doesn't feel like she sacrificed anything. She feels like she spent intentionally. There's a difference between those two things that's hard to describe until you've felt it. You don't need to slow down your life. You don't need to budget every rupee. You just need the pause to be present when the decision is happening. Because right now, for millions of salaried Indians, the decision is happening too fast for them to attend. Here's what I want you to try this week. Not a budget, not a savings target. Just this: before your next 5 UPI payments, say the amount out loud, quietly, just to yourself. And notice what your brain does in those 5 seconds. That's the whole experiment. Try it for 5 payments. Then come back and tell me in the comments what happened. Did you proceed every time? Did you hesitate? Did it feel different from normal? I'm going to read every comment for the first 48 hours. If this video made you think about something you hadn't thought about before, share it with one person in your life who also lives on a monthly salary and wonders where it goes. Just one. That's how this channel finds the people it's actually meant for. This Friday, we're looking at something I've been wanting to examine for a while. What does a 20 lakh salary actually feel like when you break down the real monthly experience of someone living it in Chennai? The number after everything is not what you'd guess. Subscribe so it appears in your feed. I'm Vivan. Try those 5 payments. See you Friday. Quick note: this video is behavioral observation only, not financial advice. Priya and Ananya are illustrative composite characters, not real individuals. For personal financial decisions, please consult a SEBI registered investment advisor. Thanks for watching.